Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Perdue.
Hey, let's get started here. Hey, today is the big September 11th. And most people know it's September 11th as when we got attacked on our own country, our own grounds, the Twin Towers, all that going on. Innocent people suffering, all right? Heroes going into the war zone right there with those planes and the towers falling and everything like that. So a bunch of stuff on September 11th. All right. And I don't want to minimize anything from anyone else that had to deal with that. Any family members you got generations growing up now finding out what mom or dad went through on this day. And it was 23 years ago today. So 23 years ago today. Hey, Jan, thank you for coming in. So I'm not minimizing anything like that, but this was the year 2001, right? Okay. I had my September 11th, 1983. Not that I'm saying I own September 11th for what everything goes on, but my September 11th is a lot different than the other September 11th, where the whole country suffered, especially the people that are involved. So I'm not minimizing anybody's hurt or anything like that. I'm just talking about my September 11th from there. And I pray continuously for all the other people that went through all that on 2001. And again, generation is coming, learning about how mom and dad were, how dad or mom was a hero in what they did. And it's awful of what happened and everything. But on my September 11th, 1983 was the day that my life died. Okay. I mean, died. And I don't mean died as in physically death, but physically my life as a man walking around, playing sports, helping other people the way I could, the strength and strong body I had, all died on that day from this. Okay. What had happened is I was at college at the time, Martin Methodist in Pulaski. And that day, people got together and wanted to play a football game. All right. Sandlot football game, pickup game. No helmets, no pads. But we were playing tackle. We'd been out there, I don't know, maybe 2 hours. And I remember telling my team we got the ball back. And I remember telling my team, hey, I need to leave. It's time to go. I've been there 2 hours and I need to get my stuff ready for class tomorrow. And so I walked out of the huddle and I heard someone say, we need someone to run the ball. Now, if I'd have kept walking, the story would be a lot different. I don't know if it had been better or if it had been worse, but we do know where we're at today. I said, all right, I'll come back for one more play. And I turned around to come back for that one more play because they wanted someone to run the ball. They handed the ball off to me. I broke through a couple of tackles and actually scored a touchdown and putting the ball down. And when I was turning back towards everyone, I saw something in my peripheral vision on my right side. I don't know what it was. You saw something. I heard a loud pop. Got hit about shoulder high. Heard a loud pop and we both went to the ground. I thought at that time maybe the loud pop was the guy broke my collarbone. That's what I thought. I tried to get up and lift my head, and that's all that came. My shoulders didn't come up. My arms didn't come up. Definitely my legs and feet didn't come up. So I put my head back down, took a deep breath, and tried again to get up. Still nothing followed. And the old thing, three's a charm, So I tried the third time. Again, nothing. Just my head, nothing. So at that point, I knew I was paralyzed. I started thinking about a guy that I met when I was 12 years old, JT. I used to visit my grandfather in the nursing home, and one day, going to visit him, I guess the room before my grandfather, a new patient had been brought in. And so I heard someone as I'm going by that goes, "Hey, buddy, come here." And so I go in, 12 years old, we're learning to be respectful of our elderlies, and we talk to them. And so I go in, and he says, "Hey, could you hold that cup with that straw so I can get some water?" And I said, "Sure, I can." So I held it for him, and that's when I learned that JT was probably in his mid 30s, was there paralyzed from his neck down, couldn't move anything. So I leave, and then JT and I talked a few times when I go visit my grandfather the rest of the time. And then, so I'm laying on the ground thinking of JT, and I'm thinking I'm going to be 19 years old and I'm going to be in a nursing home like JT. All right. Because I knew I was paralyzed and everything from then. I tell you what, I would love to meet the guy he was going through. I don't know what they called it back in 1983, but to be a paramedic, EMT, ambulance assistant. I don't know what they called him back in 1983. It may be the same thing to call him today. I don't know. He was studying to be this paramedic, and he was like a coach on the football field, like I would say. And he was telling people, run to his room and get his stethoscope and get his blood pressure kit. Bring a piece of paper and a pen. Bring a blanket to cover me up to help prevent going into shock. I mean, he was coaching and sending everybody to do something, and they're bringing it back. And here he is trying to keep me calm and so I wouldn't, go hysterical. Try to keep me so I wouldn't pass out or anything like that. And he had all this information to give to the ambulance people when they got there to have a little head start. I would love to meet this guy again. I don't know his name, just that one time event. But again, 41 years later, I would love to meet him. All right. Now let's back up a little bit. When the guy tackled me, he was all excited about, does the touchdown still count? I have no idea what's going on with this guy. Now, I'm not saying he did it on purpose, but again, it was over. The play was over with. He just continued the play. Again, no helmets, no pads, no protections. But I would love to meet this guy as well to get him, because I would tell him I hope he hadn't been focused on ruining someone's life and being too hard on himself, because life has turned around to be a little okay. I mean, better than we would thought. So when we got to the hospital, the injury was so bad that they had to send me from Pulaski up to Nashville to St. Thomas Hospital. And that's when my mom met me up there, my brothers, my grandmother came up there, a high school coach came up there. And that's when we were told then that my injury is bad enough that I'll never walk again, possibly not move from my neck down. And I'm thinking, man, that's pretty bad. Okay. But I'm thinking, I'm being the big man here, right? I'm being the big man. I'm giving what we call false prayers, right? Hey, God, hey, if I'm the last person to get paralyzed, I'll accept this burden. Being the big man I am, I'll accept this burden, that, and that's not going to be trapping. After I got hurt, tons of people have gotten spinal cord injuries since then. But here I am. I'll accept this burden, So, it's just something unrealistic for saying that. So the doctors at that time was in the hospital for like 3 months and did physical therapy, did the best they could and everything like that. Great story on my physical therapy. One time they come in and I've, been there like 2.5 months or so. And they wanted me to try to start feeding myself because I'd gained some movement in my arms and couldn't hold anything. So they put these cuffs on the palm of my hand and stuck a fork down in there, or on the other side, a spoon on the other one, and wanted me to start feeding myself. But my arm's too weak to hold up. So then they wanted to put my arm in a sling, two strings hanging down around my wrist and forearm and let me hold it there. And then I'm supposed to go over and scoop and then bring it back. And I tell you what, I look like a puppet. And I wasn't ready for anything like that. And they were, I mean, they were trying their best to get me to do is feed myself. And then they made the wrong mistake though. They said, "Well, what are you going to do when you're hungry and you want to eat?" And I said, "My mother is going to bring me Bojangles like that." And it wasn't 5 minutes later. Here, mom come in with Bojangles and ready to feed me. And the therapist just looked at me. Well, dumb me mentioning like I did. The therapist had to talk with my mom, and then my mom would bring in Bojangles, but would try to encourage me to use all this apparatus to feed myself, which again, in the long run, is the right thing. But I wasn't ready for it at that time. Okay. Now, Halloween night. Halloween night. Again, I'm paralyzed from the neck down, basically. I don't have wrist movements. I don't have finger movements much. I don't have triceps, but basically neck down. But I can't move my arms at the time. But Halloween night, felt a movement in the back of my leg, and it was me doing that movement. I could tell my leg to tighten up, to release, tighten up, release. I called the doctor in, and I said, well, I called the nurse in at that time, and I said, look, and she felt, I say, watch this. I go, I'm tightening up, and she had her hand on my leg, and she goes, yeah. I said, now I'm loosening. Oh, you are? And I said, yeah, I'm gaining some muscles back this Halloween night. And so we called, I asked her to call Nurse Vicky. Nurse Vicky would take care of me during the day. This Halloween night to say, I want to talk to Nurse Vicky because I wanted to brag to her about what's going on. But I said, Nurse Vicky. But Nurse Vicky, she didn't do just on the telephone. She came up there that night and got to feel the leg and feel me do. I tell you what, everybody should have, when you're in the hospital, the best care as possible, especially someone like Nurse Vicky. Boy, I fell in love with her. She took care of me. She was there for me. Okay, 41 years later, maybe we can say we did kiss a little bit and everything like that. I know it's unprofessional, but hey, we're talking about a man that needed some affection, and she did the right thing. 41 years, she's not in the nursing program anymore, 41 years later anyway. So, Vicky, I tell you what, at that time was the best thing that I needed from there. So I ended up leaving the hospital and going to rehab in Birmingham to a spinal cord professional, spinal cord injury. I mean, supposed to be the best one in the South. And again, I wasn't ready for what was going on. They wanted to teach me how to live in a wheelchair, where I wanted to go down and learn how to walk again because I was getting this movement in my legs. I mean, before I even got down there, I was able to straighten and bend my legs now. They were too weak, I couldn't stand, but at least I could straighten and bend them. So I'm thinking we're going to this professionals, we're going to this gurus of spinal cord injuries. I thought, man, I'll get a good chance. I'll be walking. We were there for 30 days again. The whole time they're trying to teach me ways that I can be in the wheelchair, to get around, to transfer. And I mean, I didn't want to hear all that. So after 30 days, come back home. But when I was discharged, the doctor down there told my family that I would be too much of a burden for them to provide care for, and that um, they should put me in a nursing home. So here I am, the JT thinking again, 19 years old, being in a nursing home for being paralyzed. Well, fortunately, God instilled into the me and my family to be hard headed. Okay, we decided to take the hard road instead of the nursing home, and I'm so thankful for that. My grandmother, my mom's mom, she was a nurse, so she could provide some care for us that if I needed extra. Okay, we all had the hard headedness of not wanting to give up. Okay, we're going to do our best to persevere. Hey, since I said persevere, hold on. Let me get this right here. I said persevere. Let me give everybody a fist bump. Hold on, don't go anywhere. Hey, how you like that? And so, but that's our design was to do the best we can and go from there. So, there's people ask me, how do I think I've got as far as I got in life? One, my faith, and I didn't get faith, believing. It's like when I grew up, it was like I knew there was a God, but hard to believe in one. Okay, it's I went to church when I was younger. I go to just Sunday school is all I went to basically, and when you do Sunday school was over, I left. We didn't go to the church. Okay, but so it was like I knew there was a God, but hard to believe in him because so much bad in the world. So after getting a wheelchair, ended up uh, being saved. Went to the June 4th. Uh, Billy Graham was in town at 2000 at the Titan Stadium, and I went there and received Jesus, my Lord and Savior. So as my faith, I believe, has got me through it. And again, God knew to have me with this family. They knew they were going to be the ones to sacrifice for me. They're the ones that knew that everything was going to be because of what them helped. My family sacrificed so much for me to be successful. They have worked so hard for me to be successful. Now, I've had to do my part. God doesn't do everything for us. He gives us enough to get started into things. Okay. But if we don't do our part, it's not going to work. Okay. So I believe that. Hey, Brittany, thank you for coming in. Hey, AJ, I said, sup. All right. So, um, oh, so yeah. So I tell people I believe it's my faith, the family they put me into, and the friends that I've gotten all through life. Okay. For some reason, I'm attracted to the positive, the go getters, the people who won't quit. I mean, we may whine and cry and bitch about things in life, but we use that as a motivation to go forward. I mean, we can stay kicked down all of our life if we wanted to. All right. But we use that as something to say, whatever going on didn't work. Let's change things around and let's go with this different route. There's plenty of ways to reach your goals in life. Plenty of ways. It's not one direction. Most of the time, it's not one direction. You may have to get off on a fork on the road and go left one day. And then as you're still going to the thing, you come to a decision. Now you got to go right this time. Okay. There's always decisions got to be made and moving forward. So we made mistakes. We made the right decisions and we just move forward in all of them. So again, I believe that the God has placed me with my family and people in my life. Now, are the same people with me from the very beginning? No, there may be one or two that I could count on, but not everybody. No. Are there different people throughout my life? Amen. Okay. They're called the seasons. All right. I may see this person, they've helped me through some stuff, and then I may never see this person again. For example, let me give you this great story here. This woman here sacrificed for me to benefit. I was going to school one day, college, college man. Hey, how you like that? College man at our local uh, 2-year school, community college. And while I was in there, I met this one woman, and she, over her lifetime, her and her husband had adopted like 51 disabled children. That's they foster parent of them and adopted some of them. And so they took care of these kids, adults with disabilities, and for that. So we were talking and I said, yeah, I want to start driving again. Said, but I can't afford those hand controls. And at that time, the hand control was like $500. So we go end up class that day. And the very next class meeting with this woman walks up to me and hands me an envelope with $500 in cash in it and told me to get those hand controls so I could be more independent. Man, And then I've never seen this woman ever again when I was going to class, after classes, after I graduate. But the next semester, I mean, we finished out that term together, but I never saw her after that. And what an angel to come in to get my first set of hand controls, which I've had multiple hand controls since then. Those same hand controls she gave to me, I gave to JT. Hey, JT, what's up, big boy? I gave to JT for him to put on his car, for him to have his first car to drive, because he was a spinal cord injury as well. So those hand controls got pushed back. And I think when he gave them back to me, I ended up giving them to a third person. And this time I told him I don't want them back because I had our extras. Okay. So this woman here blessed me, and she blessed two other people with those hand controls that she had no clue about. That's the way about it in life with us, isn't it? If we do the right things, we bless people, we help people, then they're going to bless someone later on, and we don't have to know anything about it. But it's because of our blessing to help them. You know, don't you hate it when someone says, they want to help you with something. They say, "Don't steal my blessing," and then you're going, "Oh, okay. Well, now I have to take it." Like, yeah, I mean, we're reluctantly. Like a friend of mine, I needed tires for my car, and all of a sudden, he paid for all my tires. And I go, "No," and I'm working, I'm teaching. I got money to pay for tires, and he says, "No, I'm gonna pay for them." I said, "No, you don't need to, Ben." Talking about you, Coach Bruce. And I said, "No," and he said, "Well, your brother fixed my exhaust pipe, and he never charged anything with the putting the muffler on, and he never charged me anything." Well, I didn't tell Ben this, but I paid my brother and told tell Ben no charge. See, I was trying to bless Ben, and my brother got paid. And so Ben now, he says, "Don't steal my blessing." So now I'm going, "Oh, okay. When you say that, now I have to take it." And so Ben blessed me back, from that. So it's great when all these blessings take place and how they just seem to come around and come around, and then again you're pushing out for it. Now, years of being in this wheelchair, again, I wouldn't be without it. Wasn't for my parents and my brothers and my grandmother sacrifice. We would do, and I say we, I'm the one that's paralyzed, but I'm doing exercises with these ankle weights on my wrist to try to build strength in my arms. But I had them doing the same thing with me, and they actually put on the ankle weights so they can do the same thing with me, so I wouldn't do it alone. Wow, they didn't have to do that for them to get wore out and everything sore, but yeah, they did it to help me out. So in the long run, for someone that was told be too much of a burden that need to put in a nursing home, I'm glad and thankful for all the sacrifices that my family did for me to be where I'm at today. All right. Now, was it all a bed of roses? Nope, can't say that. There was days that I hated everything. I hated my what's going on. There was days they hated me. There was days I hated them. Okay, and then when recognizing all that, I knew I needed to get it out of the house and get away from them to give them time to stay away from me. And so I went to Evoke Rehab to learn to do bookkeeping and went for physical therapy. And so it gave time for them to be away from me and for me to be there away from them to give everybody time to heal and from there. And then I even went to the Miami Project in Miami, Florida, and 3 months away from everybody, lived by myself and was independent, getting in and out of bed, getting dressed, doing everything. And there was 3 months that they didn't have to do anything and worry. And so much mental break from those took place. All right. So what's the gist of all this? Well, I wouldn't wish anybody to get paralyzed. I wouldn't. I mean, what's the thing? I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Truly, I would. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Said, but I got to say, my life has turned out better than what anybody thought. Obviously, what the doctors thought from Birmingham when they used to just put me in the nursing home. Okay, so obviously better than them. And I met people where their families didn't take care of them, and they were put in a nursing home, and felt so bad for them. But I mean, you can't condemn mom and dads, and I mean, if they're not can't handle it, I mean, it's better to be where the guy can be taken care of. Then again, all the hatred that would be from that. So I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but I gotta admit, I've done far more than I ever thought I'd do. Okay, coached a state championship team. There's the basketball where we won the state. Okay, right above it this year, Tennessee Vols championship, College World Series champions. Okay, all right, but I mean, I've been to Africa, Comora Islands, to share my faith, to be over there to help other people. I mean, it's so much that whoever thought I would do. Okay, um, education wasn't the finest thing, but ended up getting a doctoral degree. But remember, I can't write out a prescription for you. But if you need me to drive you to pick one up, just let me know. Write to Brittany, write AJ. Just let me know. I'll take you out and we'll pick them up. Okay. I don't know anything else other than to say, it's a hard blessing to take. I mean, it made me think more about life than thinking about myself. When I first got hurt, because everything then when I was an athlete was all about me, all about what's that song? Yeah, all about me, me. Whoever sang, I forgot who it was. That country dude. Okay, and so um, but now after all this, you know, try to help people, try to do best we can. Oh, I'm sorry, I got to back up a little bit. The one that helped me quite a bit here is no longer with us, and that's my man Ricardo, my service dog. We had to put him down earlier this year. He was with me for 13 and a half years. If you go to Amazon, you can find 5 little children's books that I wrote about Ricardo helping people. So I mean, just think, you can be blessed by a dog. It doesn't have to be a human. All right. Before all that, when I say, has it all been a bed of roses? And I said, no, I attempted suicide 3 times in 3 years. I mean, 3 times in 3 days. That's how bad I wanted out. And when I was in the hospital, because I've been trying to get the service dog for a while I was in the hospital, I got a letter in the mail and it says, James, we've been calling your house, no answer. We've sent emails, no answer. Well, I'm in the hospital. I can't get to the computer to do emails. And they said, no answer. Said, we think we have a canine that can help you with your situation and stuff. And we need you to contact us if you're still interested. And so when I contacted them, Shirley went down and did everything. And Ricardo was the man. I tell you what, he the organization got it from is Canine Companions for Independence. If you need a service dog, please check out Canine Companions for Independence. All right. When I got him, it was up to us if we wanted people to pet them. All right. There were some people put patches on their dogs' vest, on their vest, and it'd say, hey, the dog would say, I'm working, don't bother, or I'm working, don't pet me, working dog. But I was one of them to go, hey, if someone wants to meet Ricardo, that means I got a chance to tell my story and share Ricardo. So it's like they're going to be a captive audience now, right? And so multiple people in the 13 and a half years will come up just to meet Ricardo. If they already knew him, just to say hello to him that day. And I got to tell my story, got to meet some great people. And you wouldn't believe how many people that would come hug him, and all of a sudden they're crying. And they said, I had just put my dog down 6 months ago, or I put my dog down 7 months ago, 8 months ago. And they thanked me for sharing Ricardo with them so they can get that little extra from the dog. So Ricardo, my man, I'll be looking for you on that rainbow bridge when it's time. All right, buddy. All right, anybody else? I don't think we have anything else other than, again, it was a hard road, but it's a road I think we would take. Again, if I had to do all over again, I mean, it's hard to say. I still wouldn't want to be paralyzed, But I guess knowing how we come out, I would say I would do it all over again. But again, it's hard to say when you don't want to be paralyzed. So, but if it all did happen all over again, at least I would know not to be fearful as much because we know a lot more than we did. When I first got hurt, we didn't know anything. We're going with grandmother being a nurse would tell us. We're reading up on stuff, and so well from there. So, other than that, I mean, I gotta admit, it's been a pretty good life. So I was able to start this podcast because of it. And I'm hoping that people are enjoying other people's stories from there. Now, again, today, September 11th, again, don't forget the big overall picture of America's September 11th. But again, this is my September 11th because it's on September. Now, just because my day is September, it doesn't mean you didn't have a September 11th. Maybe your September 11th that changed your world was April 5th or Christmas Day or, I don't know, January 6th. Oh, that's a bad name one to pick with all that happened January 6th. But still, that's people's world has changed on those days. Okay. Plus, it's my dad's birthday. That's why I mentioned January 6th. Okay. But just because mine fell on September 11th doesn't mean you're not having a September 11th or you haven't been through a September 11th. It's just on a different date. All right. Something that changed your life. All right. So when I said earlier that my life as I knew it, walking around, moving, being this big athlete, died, and then becoming paralyzed in a wheelchair began. All right. I don't know if I have anything else to go. I'll be rambling on by now. So, Jan, thank you for coming in. Appreciate you and your friendship. Brittany, AJ, y'all have a great one as well. And a good day today. And hey, Brittany, AJ, what about our man Jordan Mason with the 49ers, boy? He had a great game the other night. He represented himself very well and represented Gallatin very well. So, proud of him as well. All right, everybody. I don't have anything else. You have a great September 11th. Do the best you can. Go fire up the grill and everything like that. I know everybody's probably working, being in the middle of the week, but go fire up in your grill, do something, have a little old party and everything like that. All right, everybody else. I'm Dr. James Perdue, known as the Professor of Perseverance. Do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your paralysis.